Let me ask you something real. Have you ever felt that fire inside but kept it quiet because the world told you to stay small? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you dream of is one bold decision? And here's the twist. Boldness isn't something you're born with. It's something you choose. When was the last time you did something that truly scared you, in the best way possible? Not something safe, not something that followed the rules or checked a box, but something so daring it made your pulse quicken. Something that made a statement, I'm alive and I refuse to stay hidden. Because here's the raw truth. Life doesn't reward those who hesitate. It doesn't hand out gold medals to those who wait on the sidelines, afraid to make a move. No, life honors the ones who dare, the ones who lean forward while others pull back, the ones who speak out when silence seems safer, the ones who take that uncertain step forward, even without knowing the outcome. Most of us have been taught to wait for permission, wait for the perfect timing, wait until we feel ready. But bold people, they don't wait, they start. They initiate conversations, they ask the hard questions, they make the first move, and because they begin, they get ahead. So if you've been sitting on an idea, quietly hoping that the right moment will magically appear, hear this loud and clear. This is your moment. Boldness is the doorway. And the best part? You don't have to be fearless to be bold. You just have to be willing. You don't have to be perfect, just present. Because life isn't scanning the crowd for flawless people. It's searching for the bold ones. The ones who show up, ready to give their best, even when they're unsure. Stick with me, because over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through what makes the bold different. Why they grow faster, rise higher, and carry fewer regrets. And when we're done, you won't just understand the power of boldness. You'll feel it vibrating inside you. Let's begin. Boldness isn't some rare gift. It's not a trait locked in your DNA. It's not tied to how extroverted or outgoing you are. And it's definitely not something only the lucky few get to claim. Boldness is a decision. It's a clear, powerful choice that you can make right now. You don't need to feel bold in order to be bold. You just need to decide. I've met people from all walks of life, introverts, soft-spoken, cautious to the core, and I've seen them transform, not because they suddenly became fearless, but because they hit a breaking point and said, that's enough. No more hiding. No more delay. They stepped forward, not because they had all the answers, but because they were tired of being trapped by their own fear. Now maybe you're thinking, Jim, that's just not who I am. And I'd say, who you were doesn't matter nearly as much as who you decide to become. Boldness doesn't require a spotlight. It doesn't demand that you shout the loudest in the room. It only asks that you show up with courage. And that courage? That's boldness in motion. Picture this. Every day you stand at a fork in the road. One path is smooth and familiar. The other, rocky, uncertain, but it leads to growth. To new chapters, deeper meaning, and strength you haven't even tapped into yet. Boldness chooses the hard path, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. It keeps walking even when the hill gets steep. And here's the thing most people miss. Boldness isn't about being loud. It's about being clear. It's that inner voice whispering, I don't know everything, but I know I'm not staying here. It's that quiet, steady step that says, I'm scared, but I'm moving forward anyway. That, right there, is boldness. And it all begins. Not tomorrow, not next month, but the very moment you decide. I used to think confidence had to come first, that you needed to feel brave before you could act brave. But I learned the truth. Confidence isn't the fuel, it's the result. You take action, and then confidence shows up. You speak out, and your voice gets stronger, one decision at a time. So now that you've chosen boldness, what comes next? You take action. Imperfect, uncertain, but real. And with each bold step, something remarkable happens. Belief begins to grow. You act first, and then, almost quietly, belief starts to rise. So don't wait around for confidence to magically appear. Don't sit there hoping for clarity or guarantees. Make the move. Let the boldness catch up. That's the secret. Boldness isn't something fixed. It's something you build, day by day, choice by choice. Think of it like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You start small. Maybe it's speaking up in that meeting, where you'd normally stay quiet. Maybe it's sharing an idea you've been sitting on, making the phone call you've been avoiding, applying for the opportunity you feel almost ready for, saying what's been left unsaid. Each one of those acts, though they may seem minor, is a rep that builds strength, a rep that creates motion. Every time you choose boldness, you reinforce it. Every time you step forward, even if it's just half a step, you're strengthening that muscle of courage. And here's the beauty. Over time, it does get easier. Not because the path softens, but because you become stronger. I've met people who waited years, 5, 10, even 20, paralyzed by indecision. They waited for a sign, for permission, for the perfect conditions. They waited to feel ready. And do you know what I told them? Stop waiting. Because you are the right person. Now is the right time. And boldness, it's the right move. Life doesn't hand out rewards to the ones who tiptoe forward. It crowns the ones who go first, the ones who knock, even when they're unsure the door will open, the ones who step up when fear says, sit back, the ones who start, especially when they're scared. So let me leave you with this. If you want a bold life, one filled with meaning, courage, and growth, you don't need to wish for it. You don't need to endlessly plan or hope it happens. You simply need to decide, right here, right now. Say it out loud if you have to. Today, I choose boldness. Let that decision shape your next step. Let it echo in your thoughts when fear whispers in your ear. Because once you make that choice, the world begins to shift. Doors you never noticed before start to open. Now, let's talk about the thing that tries to slam those doors shut. It's not failure. It's not rejection. It's something even more common. Fear. Fear. It's the invisible force that stops more people than any real obstacle ever could. But what if we've misunderstood it all along? What if fear isn't the enemy, but the compass? Fear isn't a stop sign. It's not a red light warning you to halt your journey. It's not proof that you're weak or unready. Fear is a signal, a message, a sign that you're getting close to something meaningful, that you're stepping into unfamiliar but important territory. Fear shows up when you're stretching, when you're growing, when you're about to do something that actually matters. It's energy. And like any form of energy, it can either fuel you or freeze you. The choice is yours. The problem is, most people interpret fear the wrong way. They hear it and think, stop, retreat, turn around. But what if you shifted that mindset? What if, instead of turning back, you leaned in and thought, this fear means I'm on the edge of a breakthrough? Because truthfully, fear often appears when you're no longer standing still, when you're not playing small anymore, when you're inching closer to your potential. Some will say, but what if I fail? And I say, so what? Failure isn't the worst outcome. Remaining stuck, unchanged, untested, and unfulfilled, that's the real danger. Growth doesn't come from playing it safe. Progress never comes from standing still. So don't let fear negotiate your future. Don't let it sell you comfort in place of purpose. You weren't built for fear. You were built to rise through it. Fear, in fact, might just be your ally. It reveals what truly matters. It lights up the path toward your next level. It points to the difficult conversation you've been avoiding, the bold action you need to take, the leap you've been resisting. Growth lives where fear resides. No fear, no stretch, no progress. And without progress, there's no reward. So let me ask you, when was the last time you did something that made your heart race just a little? Not something terrifying, just something that nudged you past comfort? That's the space where boldness lives. That's where transformation begins. But you'll never access it if you keep running away from fear. So stop avoiding it, step toward it, sit with it, and then move through it. Because on the other side of fear, there's always freedom. Courage doesn't mean fear disappears. Courage means you move anyway, even if your hands shake, even if your voice trembles, even when you don't know how. Things will turn out. The secret isn't fearlessness. It's movement despite fear. Bold people feel fear just like anyone else, but they've made a powerful decision. I won't let fear make my decisions for me. So here's a simple rule. When fear shows up, take a closer look. What is it really trying to protect? Your pride, your image, your comfort zone. Because while fear might protect your ego, it will never protect your destiny. Safe doesn't build dreams. Boldness does. Use fear as a signal, a clue that it's time to step up, to speak out, to push forward. And when fear tries to keep you small, remember this: your purpose wants to pull you forward, and in the end, only one of them gets to win. So now, fear is no longer the villain in your story. It's not the thing holding you back. It's the signal telling you it's time to rise. And with that shift in mindset, there's something else you need to face head on: the fear of judgment. Right now, fear is no longer your red light. It's your green light. It's not a reason to freeze. It's your invitation to move forward. Sure, you may not be completely fearless, but you can be faithful. Faithful to your vision, to your potential, and to the promise you made back in chapter 1, to live boldly. Let fear speak if it wants to. But never let it vote. That's your job. You cast the final vote. You take the step. Because on the other side of fear lies everything you've ever dreamed of. But there's one more obstacle that tends to sneak in even stronger than fear: criticism. Let's be honest. What holds most people back isn't just the fear of failing. It's the fear of being seen while failing. The fear of being judged, misunderstood, or even laughed at. The fear of what they might say. But here's the unfiltered truth. If you want the praise, you have to risk the criticism. Everyone craves applause. Everyone wants to be approved, appreciated, admired. But we forget that applause comes with a price. And that price is visibility. That price is effort. That price is vulnerability. You have to show up, even when there's no guarantee someone will clap. Even when there's a real chance someone will scoff instead. If your goal is to avoid criticism your entire life, let me be clear, you will also avoid growth. Worse than that, you'll miss out on impact, on excellence, on everything that makes life meaningful and unforgettable. Why? Because anything worth doing will invite opinions, and the only people who escape criticism are the ones who do nothing. But the moment you stand up, speak out, try something different, you become visible. And when you become visible, you attract attention. Some of that attention will be kind. Some will be curious. And some, yes, will be critical. But here's the kicker. Most of the criticism doesn't come from people doing bold things. It comes from the sidelines, from people who've never taken the leap, from those who haven't built, created, risked, or dared, from those who live small and want you to stay small too. Don't give them that power. When someone says, "But what will they think of me?" I always ask, who are they? And what have they built? What are they risking? Because critics are cheap. But bold action is expensive. And that's why so few people choose it. But those who do, those who step forward despite the spotlight, despite the whispers, despite the raised eyebrows, those are the ones who earn the respect. the ones who move the world. Let me be real with you. You don't get both. You don't get to stay invisible and also be recognized. You don't get to please everyone and live a purpose-driven life. You can't keep everyone happy and still make a real impact. There comes a moment when you have to choose comfort or contribution. And that choice, it will shape the course of your life. Now, I'm not saying criticism doesn't hurt. Of course it does. It can sting. It can catch you off guard. It can even knock the wind out of you. But the difference is this: bold people don't let insults become identities. They don't give up on their vision just because someone rolled their eyes. They understand that success comes with resistance, not without it. So expect criticism, anticipate it, and decide now that you are willing to carry it, because the price of progress is resistance, but the reward is respect. Here's something I've seen again and again. Most people admire boldness after the fact. At first, they question it. They mock it. They misunderstand it. And if you're not careful, you'll shrink yourself just to be accepted by people who aren't even living the kind of life you want. Don't do that. Speak anyway. Act anyway. Lead. Anyway, the world might not applaud at first, but if you stay bold, stay grounded, and stay true to your path, the very people who once criticized you may one day admire you. So let me ask you, are you willing to be misunderstood today so you can be respected tomorrow? Are you willing to be judged so that you can grow? Are you willing to be seen, really seen, so that you can lead? If the answer is yes, then you're walking the bold path. And that's the path that leads to legacy. One final thought. Praise is never free. It's not handed out. It's earned. It's earned through action, through rejection, through staying bold even when you want to run. So go ahead. Risk the criticism. Because what's waiting on the other side is the reward of a life fully lived. So you've risked the criticism, stood tall in the spotlight, and chosen boldness. What's next? Now it's time to stop waiting and start moving. Let's talk about the one who dares to take the first step. The person who doesn't sit around hoping someone else will go first. The one who doesn't wait to be chosen, but chooses themselves. That's the initiator. The one who moves while others are still making excuses. The one who steps in while others stay back. The one who begins when everyone else is still dreaming. And here's the truth you need to hear. Fortune favors the initiator, not the overthinker, not the perfectionist, not the dreamer with the flawless plans and no action to match. Fortune follows those who begin. You don't get rewarded for intention. You get rewarded for execution. You don't earn anything by having ideas. You earn results by doing something with those ideas. You don't get stronger reading about push-ups. You get stronger by showing up and sweating through them. And initiators, they know this deep down. That's why they don't wait around for instructions. They don't sit around for someone else to open the door. They build the door. They create the opportunity. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm just waiting for the right moment. But let me be honest with you. That perfect time you're waiting for, it's a myth. The clock doesn't pause for hesitation. Opportunity doesn't wait around for perfection. It keeps moving, and those who move with it are the ones who win. The initiator doesn't say someday. They say today. They don't say maybe. They say let's try. They don't ask for permission. They give it to themselves. You might wonder, but what if I get it wrong? What if you do? Then you'll learn. You'll adjust. You'll grow. At least you'll be in motion, and motion is what creates momentum. And momentum? That's magnetic. That's what draws opportunity to your doorstep. People follow those who move, not those who wait. Leadership isn't about waiting for the perfect cue. It's about starting the music. Here's something you should write down. The person who starts the conversation controls the conversation. In business, in relationships, in life, it's the initiator who sets the tone. the one who reaches out first, the one who pitches the idea, the one who shakes the hand, the one who gets the meeting, finds the mentor, enters the market, simply because they had the boldness to begin. But here's what many miss. Most people spend their lives waiting to be picked. Picked for the job, picked for the promotion, picked to lead. But initiators, they pick themselves. They start the podcast, launch the product, write the book, share the message, take the risk. While others are stuck staring at red lights, initiators become the green light. They don't need permission to take action. They don't wait for applause to make a move. They don't crave validation to believe in their vision. They just need one thing, the decision to start. That's the separator. Not brilliance, not background, not talent, just initiation. That's what turns dreamers into doers. So let me ask you honestly, what have you been waiting to start? What idea have you been overthinking? What dream are you putting off until someone else says go? Don't wait for a signal. Be the signal. Don't wait for approval. Approve yourself. Don't wait to be invited to the table. Build your own. Because fortune never follows the passive. It walks alongside the bold, the decisive, the proactive. Those who move meet opportunity halfway. Final thought. Life opens up for those who open the door. So don't just stand there hoping it swings wide. Knock, push, step in. Because fortune always favors the initiator. You've learned that fortune favors those who take the first step. But the path forward often leads you right into discomfort, and that's where the real growth begins. You want a better life? Then stretch. Just a little further than feels comfortable. Try something unfamiliar. Step into a room where you don't know anyone. Learn a new skill that makes you feel like a beginner again. Say yes to something that scares you, just enough, to make your heart skip. Because every time you stretch, you push the walls of your comfort zone outward. And when that zone expands, so does your life. New opportunities begin to show up. New skills start to take root. New levels of confidence begin to bloom. But they all live just beyond comfort, never inside it. I once heard someone say, growth and comfort do not coexist. And the more I've lived, the more I've seen how true that is. Growth doesn't happen in ease. It happens in effort. It demands discomfort. It calls for courage. And while that may sound like a high price, the truth is, it's a much better deal than the cost of staying stuck. So here's what I want you to carry with you. Comfort zones come with a cost. They cost you boldness. They cost you strength. They cost you the kind of life filled with meaning, momentum, and mastery. And the danger? Sometimes we pay that price without even realizing it, trading our best years for a false sense of safety. So if you're spending your days wrapped in the comfort of routine, ask yourself, am I overpaying? Don't spend your potential buying a version of life that only feels safe when what your soul really craves is significance. That's the real currency. Final thought here. Your comfort zone is not your home. It's a resting point, not a residence. You weren't born to live in pause. You were born to rise, to reach, to expand. So today, take the stretch. Step outside the familiar. Feel the discomfort, and do it anyway. Because right beyond that edge, that's where the life you were born for begins. And once you've stepped out, there's one more thing you'll need to bring with you. Your words. Because if you want to shape your life boldly, you need to speak boldly. Let's talk about that. Let me share something that took me years to fully grasp. Your words are not just noise. They're seeds. And every time you open your mouth, you're planting something. You plant belief, or you plant doubt. You plant movement, or hesitation. You plant vision, or confusion. Your words shape how you think. They shape how others perceive you, and over time, they shape the reality you live in. Words are builders, or breakers, of worlds. Here's what. I've learned from bold people. They speak boldly, not with arrogance, not with reckless volume, but with purpose. They speak with clarity, with courage, with intention, because they understand a powerful truth. What you say reflects what you believe, and what you believe shapes where you're going. So let me ask you this. How are you using your words? Are you building your future, or slowly betraying it? Are you speaking life into your goals, or talking yourself out of them before you even begin? Because words can do both. They can water your dreams or poison your progress. And here's something to remember. People will believe in you only as much as you believe in yourself. If your words are uncertain, hesitant, filled with doubt, don't be shocked when others hesitate too. But if you speak with confidence, if you speak with purpose, if you align your words with your vision, people lean in. And more importantly, you begin to believe what you're saying. Because bold speech isn't about being the loudest. It's not about controlling the room. It's about alignment. It's about letting your words match your purpose, your mission, your core values. And when your voice aligns with your vision, you become powerful. Let's make this practical. Yes, speak boldly to others, but just as important, maybe even more so, speak boldly to yourself. What are you whispering in your own head when no one else is around? Because those private words, they're louder than anything anyone else can say. If you're telling yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, I'll probably fail, then you're programming hesitation into your future. But if you tell yourself, I can grow, I can improve, I'm learning, I'm capable, you're planting courage, you're reinforcing movement, you're building momentum. So before we go any further, pause and consider. What kind of seeds are you planting with your words? Because what you speak today becomes the world you live in tomorrow. Let's go deeper. Once you've learned to speak boldly to yourself and to others, you begin to shape the world around you. Because words don't just reflect reality, they create it. When you tell yourself, I'm capable of figuring this out, something powerful begins to shift inside you. That's not just a mindset, it's leadership being born. Because bold speech doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how others move. If you're leading a business, guiding a team, raising a family, or simply showing up in your community, your words matter. They set the temperature in the room, they influence culture. They either move people forward or hold them in place. So if you want to lead boldly, you've got to speak like a leader. Speak from vision, speak from principle, speak with clarity and courage, even when the truth is uncomfortable. People may not always agree with what you say, but they will respect how you say it. Now here's something important to remember. You don't need to be a professional speaker to have influence. You don't need flawless grammar or a polished delivery. You don't need to sound like someone else. What you do need is authenticity. You need to mean what you say, and say it like it matters, because it does. Words aren't harmless. Words change everything. Wars have begun because of words. Movements have risen from nothing but a voice and a message. Lives have been forever transformed by a single conversation. Don't ever underestimate the weight your words carry. So here's a simple challenge starting today. Stop using your voice to talk yourself out of your own potential. Stop hiding behind phrases like I'm not sure. Stop saying maybe when what you really mean is yes. Stop postponing action with someday when what you actually mean is right now. Start declaring what you want. Start standing behind your values. Start using words that align with the future you're building, because when you change the way you speak, you begin to change the way you live. Final thought. You can't lead a bold life if your voice remains silent. Speak with courage. Speak with clarity. Speak like your words carry weight, because they do. Your voice isn't just sound. It's strategy. Use it wisely. Now let's talk about something that holds so many people back. The belief that you need confidence before you can act. The truth might surprise you. Let me start with a myth, a dangerous one. It's the idea that you need to feel confident before you can take action. That you should wait until you're completely sure before you step forward. That you have to feel ready before you move. Let's fix that right now. Confidence doesn't lead. Boldness does. Confidence doesn't come first. It comes after. Boldness is the cause. Confidence is the effect. You don't build confidence by sitting still, waiting for the perfect moment. You build it by standing up and doing something, even if your hands shake while doing it. I hear people say all the time, "Jim, I'm not confident enough to try." And my answer is simple. Of course you're not. Because you haven't earned that confidence yet. Confidence is something you earn. It's the byproduct of action, of effort, of experience. You take the step, you speak up, you try, and then confidence begins to grow. It's just like going to the gym. You don't get strong by reading about push-ups. You don't build muscle by watching workout videos on YouTube. You get strong by showing up, doing the work, feeling the burn, and coming back again. And yes, it's uncomfortable in the beginning. Yes, it's awkward. Yes, you might feel uncoordinated and unsure. But over time, your form improves, your strength increases, and your confidence, quietly but steadily, catches up. Why? Because you moved, you acted, you did the thing. That's the formula. Boldness builds confidence. Let me give you a simple but powerful idea. Boldness is borrowed. Confidence. You don't feel ready, but you move anyway. You don't feel certain, but you speak anyway. What you're doing is borrowing strength from your future self, the one who already overcame this. Every bold action whispers, "I may not feel ready, but I'm willing. I may not feel strong, but I'm here." And that willingness is what builds belief. Most people sit and wait for confidence like it's a delivery package. They stand by the door checking their watch, wondering when it'll arrive. But it won't. Confidence isn't delivered. It's built. It's constructed through bold action, piece by piece. So go first. Act before you feel ready. Speak before you feel perfect. That's what bold people do. It's not that they have less fear. They just refuse to let fear vote. They don't let fear make decisions for them. They understand a secret. Clarity comes through motion. Certainty grows through repetition. Power is built through presence. And all of that, every bit of it, is born from boldness. Now that you understand boldness is the bridge, not the reward, it's time to build the confidence you've been waiting for. Not by thinking, not by wishing, but by doing. If you want to become more confident when you speak, start speaking more often, more honestly, more boldly. If you want to trust your decisions, start making them. Don't overanalyze. Don't wait for certainty. Decide, move, adjust as you go. And if you want to build real belief in yourself, the kind that doesn't crumble under pressure, start doing the things you usually avoid. Step into the discomfort. Embrace what feels awkward. Push past the hesitation. That's the recipe. Do what's uncomfortable until it becomes normal, and it won't be long before you notice the shift. That's when the fear softens. That's when your voice gets stronger, steadier. That's when the critic in your head, once loud and sharp, starts to quiet down, not because it gave up, but because you showed up. Because now, you have proof. Always remember this. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It comes from proof. Proof that you can handle discomfort. Proof that you can begin before you feel ready. Proof that you can face what once terrified you and keep going, and every time you act boldly, you reinforce that proof. Confidence doesn't knock at your door. You build it, you craft it, through action, through effort, through bold steps, taken when it's hardest to take them. Because boldness isn't the result of confidence, it's the path that leads to it. You don't wait to feel confident before you act. You act so that you become confident. Final thought. Don't wait to feel ready. Ready is a result, not a requirement. Confidence is a reward, not a prerequisite. And boldness? Boldness is the bridge between where you are and who you're meant to become. So take the step, even if it's shaky, even if your hands tremble or your voice cracks. Speak anyway, move anyway, try anyway, because with every small, courageous act, you become someone worth believing in. Let me share something with you, something I hope you carry with you for the rest of your life. Bold people aren't fearless, but they do carry fewer regrets. That's the real trade-off. It's not about having a life without failure or mistakes or missed shots. It's about avoiding the one feeling that stings more than all of those combined. Regret. That sinking, quiet ache of, I wish I had. Because at the end of your life, what will hurt the most won't be the things you tried and didn't get right. It'll be the things you never tried at all. Regret doesn't come from boldness. It comes from hesitation, from silence, from playing small when your heart was screaming to go big, from letting the moment pass you by, knowing deep down you were meant to show up. Regret says, I could have spoken up. I should have gone for it. I knew it was my chance, and I let it slip. And those moments, they don't fade. They echo, they linger, sometimes for years, sometimes for life. But boldness? Boldness gives you peace. Even when things don't work out exactly as you'd hoped, you carry clarity. Because you showed up. You leaned in, you spoke out, you moved with intention. That knowing that I gave it my all, that's what keeps regret at bay. Now, let's be clear. Boldness doesn't guarantee success, but it does guarantee that you won't live wondering what might have been. You won't be haunted by all the doors you never knocked on. You won't sit there with unused potential weighing down your spirit, because you used it, you stepped into it, you tried, and even if you stumbled, there's honor in the attempt. There's dignity in deciding to be bold. Let me ask you a personal question. What's one thing you wish you had done sooner? One conversation you should have had? One opportunity you should have taken? Now ask yourself, what stopped you? It wasn't the failure itself. Most likely it was the fear of failure, or fear of judgment, or the fear of change. But let's get real. Failure is temporary. Judgment fades. Change brings growth. But regret? Regret sticks. It settles in, and often shows up when it's too late to fix. So what do bold people do? They take action now, so they don't live with what if later. They understand a simple truth. It's better to face the temporary discomfort of effort than to live with the permanent sting of regret. You've seen that boldness doesn't just keep regret away. It gives you peace, clarity, and pride. And now, it's time to lean deeper into that truth. Boldness isn't just protection from regret. It's also your shortcut to growth. It's better to fail trying than to spend your life wondering what could have been. That's something I deeply believe. Because here's what I know. Regret weighs more than fear. Fear? It comes and goes. It shows up in moments, fleeting and sharp. But regret? Regret can follow you for years. Sometimes it never leaves. It lingers in the silence after a missed chance. It whispers late at night when the world is quiet. So don't aim to avoid risk. Don't waste your time trying to build a life that's perfectly safe. Instead, aim for something greater. A life with no regrets. And the only way to create that life is with boldness. Not one day, not eventually, not when the timing is perfect, but now. If you've got a voice, use it. If you've got an idea, share it. If you've got a calling, answer it. And if it scares you, good. That's how you know it matters. Say what needs to be said. Do what must be done. Be who you were meant to be. Because the only thing more painful than failing is watching your bold life pass by while you sit on the sidelines. Boldness won't make you perfect, but it will make you proud. Not proud because you never failed, but proud because you showed up. Proud because you took the risk. You spoke the truth. You moved forward. You lived. And one day, when you look back, you won't feel the ache of "I wish I had." You'll feel the peace of "I did." Now let's talk about one of the greatest advantages boldness gives you. It's not just about confidence or pride. Boldness accelerates your growth. Let me tell you something powerful. Boldness is the shortcut to growth. Not talent, not intelligence, not waiting for perfect timing. Boldness, that's what speeds you up, because the moment you act boldly, you put yourself in the path of feedback. You put yourself in motion. And real, lasting growth only happens in motion. Most people think growth is about time. They say, "Give me time and I'll get better." But that's only half true. Time doesn't guarantee growth. Engagement does. You grow when you act, when you try, when you test, when you fail forward. And boldness? Boldness is what moves you from thinking to doing, from theory to transformation. It's the accelerator. It speeds up your learning. It gives you real-time data. It shows you where you're strong and where you need to grow. That's how progress happens. Not in silence, not in waiting, but in bold motion. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to become a better communicator. You can read every book, watch every video, take every course, but growth won't happen until you speak, until you raise your hand, until you pitch the idea, until you record that first video. That's when growth begins. Why? Because boldness activates feedback. And feedback is the fuel for growth. Here's something to remember. Life doesn't grow you in the shadows. It grows you in the spotlight. It grows you in the stretch zone, not the safe zone. And the key that unlocks the stretch zone is boldness. Now, don't confuse boldness with recklessness. I'm not saying jump without thinking. I'm saying stop thinking so long that you never jump. There's a difference between preparation and procrastination disguised as planning. Boldness says, plan a little, then move, because motion creates momentum. And momentum? That's what leads to breakthroughs. You want to grow faster? Start before you feel ready. Try before it's perfect. Raise your hand, even when you're unsure. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Launch, even if it's version 1, because done beats perfect, action beats theory, and boldness beats delay every time. Here's something else you might not expect. Bold people grow faster, not because they always succeed, but because they fail more often. Yes, you heard that right. They fail more because they try more. And with each failure comes a lesson. With each risk comes some kind of reward, even if it's not the one you expected. Bold people treat failure like tuition. They see every stumble as part of the education, because every misstep is a step forward if you're paying attention. Here's what I've learned. The bold don't wait for growth to find them. They chase it. They walk into the room. They get in the game. They say yes, even when they don't have all the answers. Because growth doesn't come before the bold move. It comes because of it. You want to become more? Do more. You want to lead better? Step into leadership. You want to succeed faster? Start sooner. Final thought. Boldness isn't a luxury. It's a lever. It moves you. It stretches you. It reveals who you are and who you're capable of becoming. So stop waiting to feel more prepared. Stop waiting for the fear to disappear. Choose boldness. Because when you choose boldness, you don't just speed up success, you accelerate your growth. You've seen how boldness accelerates growth, not just for yourself, but for those around you. And now, it's time to realize something even greater. Your boldness could be the permission someone else has been waiting for. You don't need a microphone or a spotlight to make an impact. You don't need a stage or a title. You only need one thing: the willingness to go first. That's what true leadership is, not a fancy role or position, but a decision. A choice to move when others freeze, to speak when others stay silent, to act before anyone else does. That's boldness. And that's exactly what people are drawn to. Let me ask you something. What would happen if you became the bold one in the room? The one who breaks the silence. The one who brings the spark. The one who says, "Let's go." Because every room, every group, every team, every family is waiting for someone to go first. Why not you? People don't remember those who blend in. They remember those who bring conviction, who bring change, who bring courage. The bold one becomes the example, the reference point, the reason someone else dares to say, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And that's a legacy worth building. Never underestimate the power of your choice. Your decision to be bold might inspire your children. It might change your community. It might open a door for someone you'll never meet. You don't have to be flawless. You just have to be fully present, fully alive, fully bold. Now, let's be honest. The world is loud, but leadership is rare. We're surrounded by noise, opinions, and distractions, but there's a shortage of clarity, of courage, of real bold voices, and that's why boldness stands out. Because it's rare, because it's real, because it's needed. So step up, not just for your own success, but for someone else's breakthrough. Final thought. The world doesn't need more followers. It needs bold leaders, not louder people, clearer ones, not arrogant people, authentic ones, not perfect people, just those willing to begin. Be that person, be the spark, be the bold one others are waiting for, because someone's future might. Just begin with your first move, and now we've come full circle. We've walked through fear, courage, leadership, regret, and growth. But everything we've talked about points to one simple truth. The rewards are waiting, but only if you stop hesitating. That dream you've been carrying in silence, that decision you keep delaying, that voice you've been holding back, it's time. No more waiting, no more wondering, no more telling yourself, someday. Because let's be honest, someday isn't a day of the week, and it's not promised to any of us. The rewards, they're already out there. The opportunities, the breakthroughs, the clarity, the transformation, they exist. They're real, they're possible. But they don't belong to the one who waits. They belong to the one who moves. Life responds to action. When you act with boldness, doors begin to open. Not always instantly, but consistently. People notice, opportunities appear, and most importantly, you begin to rise. But none of that happens if you're stuck in hesitation, because hesitation is the enemy of greatness. It dresses up like logic. It disguises itself as caution. But let's call it what it really is, fear in a suit. So here's your challenge. Be the one who acts, not the one who reacts. Be the one who moves, not the one who waits. Be the one who decides. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present and willing. You've heard the lessons. You've felt the truth in your bones. Now the rest, it's up to you. Because boldness can't be borrowed. It has to be chosen, day by day, step by step, in every area of life. And when you choose boldness, not once but consistently, you begin to live a life few people ever experience. A life of meaning, a life of movement, a life of momentum, a bold life. Now listen, there will still be moments of fear. That's okay. Just don't let fear drive. There will still be days when you're uncertain. Perfect. Do it uncertain. There will be decisions that challenge you. Good. That's where the growth lives. Because when you choose boldness, even when it's hard, you prove to yourself, I'm no longer living in hesitation. I'm living on purpose. Everything you want, every breakthrough, every transformation is already waiting. Not in the far-off future, not in someday, just on the other side. of boldness. So stop hesitating. Make the call. Take the step. Say the words. Start the thing. Because life always rewards the bold. Now go out and live like it. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a chance to grow. Like this video if you're ready to choose boldness today. And share it with someone who needs that extra push. You never know. Your share might be the spark they've been waiting for. Drop a comment below and let me know. What bold move are you committing to today? Let's encourage each other. Let's lead each other. Let's grow together.